Welcome to another Rolled in Reacts episode. Customer states, engine runs badly and engine temperature is higher than normal. Says that he's done all oil changes on it himself and done it every year. And this guy wanted some larger rims on his truck, so he installed some spacers by himself, but he had to come in 3 days later because of a wobbly steering wheel. And this car came in after the owner had tried to deep clean it, but ended up feeling like it was too much work to put all the interior back together, and came in to get some help. This car was in for a tire repair when the mechanic saw that the customer was driving around with brake rotors and brake pads looking this bad. The owner of this car came in with steering issues after their brother had tried doing some work on it, but ended up causing more trouble than good. And this customer had tried lowering their car, all by themselves. This Chevrolet Tahoe urgently came into the shop because it refused to start after the customer had done his own DIY repair job on the starter motor instead of just installing a new one. Customer states, did an alignment at a different shop, but now something's off. Customer states, loud whining noise when driving, please advise. And this guy said that he thinks silicone is one of the greatest inventions of mankind. Customer states, there's a funky smell inside the driver's cab, could possibly be the AC filter, please check and advise. The owner of this Nissan Sentra came in saying that they hit a large piece of wood on the highway, then got their own private light show in the dash before the car just shut itself off. And this truck rolled in for its yearly service when the mechanic noticed that the customer had tried to change the color of the interior, all by himself, using beige spray paint. The owner of this classic JDM came in asking if there's anything the shop could do about their vibrating gear stick. This car rolled in after the owner said it had started to sound louder than normal lately, and this is what the mechanic found. The owner of this car came in because he had just failed a safety inspection after he had his friend convert his stock exhaust system into a stock exhaust system with a sportier sound. Afternoon tea, anyone? And the owner of this car had their friend help them install some used calipers, but had to come in to get new ones because they only lasted about 2 weeks. The owner of this vehicle came in saying that they keep smelling something burning and wanted it checked out. This car rolled in after the owner said that smoke had started coming out the engine bay and the car started running bad before just shutting off. The mechanics found that someone had installed higher amp fuses and also tampered with the car's fuse box and ECU in order to install some auxiliary equipment and a light bar. Customer states, was driving home from work when I heard this loud bang and then something came flying out the hood. Customer states, I get this terrible clunk whenever I pull out of the driveway. Customer states, just had another shop replace the driver's side airbag after recent collision, but the wiring job was done so poorly that it resulted in a cable fire. Customer came in complaining about a vibration in their steering wheel and rough engine idling. Customer states, starting issues. And this is how to make a Kia twice as valuable. Customer states, AC doesn't work at all and thinks it might be the AC refrigerant that needs to be refilled. The mechanics found the compressor looking like this. Customer states, I can't tell how fast I'm driving, please advise. And this customer had just had some suspension work done at another shop. The owner of this truck had it in because it had started to run strange after one of their friends had tried to squeeze an extra few horses out of the engine with his unique tuning method. The customer ended up declining all repairs because he thought it was too expensive and said that he will just drive it as is until it gives up. The owner of this Lambo came in for a new windshield because a semi-truck that had been in front of them had a rim break loose and split into two pieces before crashing into the customer's windshield. This fairly new truck came in for a wheel alignment when the mechanic discovered this. This customer came in saying, "Something ain't right with my car, it needs new meds or something." And this guy had just installed new brake rotors and pads by himself, but had not replaced the brake shields and now complained about a screechy noise at all speeds. The owner of this car had installed his very own homemade exhaust, but had to come in because the car didn't accelerate very well. And the owner of this car had installed some new rims by themselves, but had to come in because of a metallic scraping sound. Customer rolled into the shop all worried, saying he thinks he has a major oil leak somewhere because no matter how much engine oil he adds, the dipstick is always dry. The mechanics discovered that the customer had slid the dipstick in beside the dipstick tube. This sedan came in because it needed some electrical work, but the mechanics kindly declined all repairs. This car came in because the owner said it had started to run really rough after having been in for some work at another shop. The owner of this car came in because they had a hole in their washer fluid tank that they wanted fixed, but didn't mention anything about the state of their tires. The owner of this car had changed his oil regularly, but hadn't changed the oil filter in 80,000 miles. Customer states, "My car gets way too excited whenever I fire it up. Please advise." The owner of this GMC Yukon had recently done an alignment at a local tire shop, which he paid over $300 for, but said that his steering wheel still isn't aligned. Choo choo! Customer states, "My car has started chain smoking again." The owner of this SUV rolled in because they have a loud growling noise at 30 miles per hour after they had installed new chrome lug nuts to match their new summer rims, which they'd just bought off eBay. Customer states, "Truck runs a bit rough and has started to overheat. Please advise." And this mobile mechanic was called in after the customer had tried to change a flat tire by themselves. And you can never have too many Little Tree air fresheners, right? Right? And this customer came in saying that her car has started to squeal like a pig and doesn't want to start after she pressure washed the engine bay a few days ago. And I think I found the reason why some people drive like they don't have a license. Customer came in complaining about their new seats not having built-in heat, even though it said they did when they bought them off AliExpress. The mechanic found the seat heater pads to be stuffed inside the seats and not connected properly. And this Audi engine came in with quite the list of problems. And this customer came in saying, "My grandma borrowed my car for a while, but now I can barely get it into gear anymore. Please advise." And when your differential starts making its own homemade vanilla milkshakes, you know you done messed something up. The owner of this Honda Pilot came in saying that they have been getting this strange thumping sound whenever they go over speed bumps or pull into their driveway. Customer states, "Hit a pothole and now my brakes barely work. Please advise." Customer states, "Friend of theirs adjusted the ride height recently and the car has handled strange ever since. The mechanics found the strut top mount bolts to be missing." Customer states, "Wife borrowed the car and said she hit some road debris on the freeway." This car came in because it was running poorly and had blue exhaust smoke, and this is what the mechanic discovered when he went to check the oil level. This customer came in with a dislocated CV axle after he hit a piece of metal junk that had fallen off the car in front of him on the highway. This car came in with quite the leak. Customer states, I keep getting this strange rattling sound when driving. The owner of this car came into the shop saying that his feet get wet anytime he goes to wash off the windshield or whenever the AC has been on for longer than 15 minutes. The mechanics found the AC evaporator tube to be clogged and the rear washer fluid hose had snapped in half, both of which ended up causing the leaks into the cabin. This customer came in complaining about their car not wanting to start sometimes and wanted it looked at. I wonder what might be the cause. Oh yeah, it's one of those new Bluetooth spark plugs, right? This customer came in for a steering wheel vibration after his friend had helped him balance the wheels for free. And this customer came in with starting issues after their nephew, who's apparently a great electrician, had done some electrical work on their car. Customer states, their uncle helped them with some suspension work, but now the car clunks and screeches loudly anytime they make a turn. Very cozy. Customer states, clunking sounds when going over bumps. Please advise. And this car was just in for some new struts when the mechanic saw that the brakes were completely cooked. This customer came in with their Honda Civic because of poor braking power after their grandson had installed new calipers on it in a pretty creative way. And this customer came in saying, my truck has been feeling bumpier lately. Can you check it out? Customer states, engine fan not working after recent oil change at a quick lube shop. And this ATV came in with a few problems. The owner of this car had installed a lowering kit by himself, but it turns out that he might have dropped it a bit too low. This customer had tried driving through a large pool of water that had formed underneath a bridge after a rainstorm and said that he immediately regretted what he did once he saw water coming into the driver's cab. The mechanic drained the engine of the watery oil cocktail, but the water damage was so extensive that the engine had locked up. Fortunately, the customer got a new engine installed through their insurance company. The owner of this car had installed some new brake pads by himself, but had to come in because he now has a terrible squeak. This customer came in saying, what do you mean I need new tires? I only got these a couple years ago and they're practically as good as new. Ooh. And this pickup truck owner had installed some new extra lights all by himself. And this customer came in for an oil change and asked the mechanic if they served latte in the waiting room. The mechanic replied, no, but your car does. Customer states, it's easier to go wakeboarding with two turtles strapped to my feet than it is to steer and stop my truck. This car was in for an alignment when the mechanic started hearing a meowing sound from underneath the car. The cat was alive and well and ended up finding its way back home. Yep, looks great. This truck came into the shop because it had some electrical issues after the customer had tried to install some new backup lights, but done a pretty sketchy wiring job. This wheel was holding on for dear life after the customer had hit a curb going a bit faster than usual. And this customer came in saying, I usually do all my own work, but I just can't figure out why my car keeps overheating. Can you check it out? And this car came in with a washer fluid leak after the owner had tried fixing a leaky washer fluid hose with some duct tape and tie wraps. And this customer had hit a pothole and heard a loud noise, but kept driving until they heard an even louder noise and had to come in on a tow truck. This car rolled in with brake issues and terrible squeaking sounds after the customer had tried saving some money by only replacing half of the pads. And the owner of this car had installed a new touchscreen radio in a pretty creative way. This car came in for a pre-purchase inspection, and thank God for that. And this customer had money shifted his car so hard that he joined the clutch and transmission in a holy matrimony that would last forever. This Hyundai Accent rolled in because it had started to overheat after it had been parked in a sketchy neighborhood for a couple of days. The owner of this car came in saying that they always do regular maintenance work on their car once every year or so, but had to come in because their brakes had just stopped working. And for this car to get a new water pump, the mechanic needed to remove the left front wheel well liner, and engine mount, raise the engine slightly, remove the air filter assembly, serpentine belt, timing belt covers, take out the old water pump, install the new water pump, and then do it all in reverse order. And this car had taken some swimming lessons together with the owner. And this customer had done some body work on their car, all by themselves. This minivan came in because the front wheels had locked up and caused a flat tire while the customer had been driving to work. Once the customer got the repair quote, he thought it was way too expensive and said that he'll take it to a different shop instead. Customer states, car sounds like a Lamborghini tractor, that is. And this customer rolled in and said that their steering wheel has started to wobble a lot recently, after they had been on a road trip to the mountains. This car rolled into the shop because it had a clunking sound when turning, and the mechanics discovered that it had a bad control arm that someone had tried to fix in a pretty cheap way. The owner of this Audi A3 came in saying that their transmission has started to make strange sounds and sometimes wouldn't go into gear after they had modified it at another shop 10 days ago. This customer had let their stepbrother install a wheelchair ramp in their van, but came in because the van doesn't start anymore. This car rolled into the shop with a loose transmission housing after the customer had tried servicing the transmission but couldn't get the housing back on. If it ain't falling off, don't fix it. This customer came in saying that they've been getting this weird sound for a while and wanted it checked out. Turns out that the customer's friends had pranked him while he was away on holiday. The owner of this car came in complaining about having heard a loud crack during hard acceleration and that the car barely accelerates since. The owner of this car had done an oil change at a different shop, but had to come in because they've had a burnt smell ever since. Looks like the other shop did the oil change extra fast. The owner of this car came in saying that their steering wheel has started to wobble and wanted it checked out. This customer had just installed a new oil pan gasket and done an oil change at a quick fix repair shop that had not sealed the oil pan gasket properly or filled the engine up with the right amount of oil, which caused this mechanical Caesar salad. And this truck rolled in with one of the wheels holding on for dear life. This customer rolled in because they had a strange smell inside the driver's cab and the car was louder than normal during acceleration. Turns out that another shop had repaired a leaky exhaust for them in a pretty creative way. And when your brakes look like this, you could probably make bacon and eggs on them. And if you ever want to change an oil pan gasket on a GMC Envoy 5.3 liter V8 with all-wheel drive, you have to first pull out the shaft from the front differential that runs straight through the oil pan before you can even begin. Easy peasy. And this customer rolled in with his brake rotors all messed up, as he had heard a loud thump sound right after he had slammed the brakes to avoid hitting a DoorDash scooter that made a sudden left turn in front of him. And this car came in on a tow truck after the owner heard a loud boink sound when he was going to pass another car on the highway. This car came in with a pretty bad fuel leak after the owner had installed a new aftermarket exhaust system by themselves. This customer had just done an oil change and replaced the filters by himself, but now had a strange oil leak and couldn't figure out why. This Kenworth semi-truck rolled in after the driver said it had gotten really heavy to steer. Turns out that someone had topped up the power steering fluid with sunflower oil. Customer states, "I don't know what has happened, but my fuel economy is absolutely horrible." And this customer came in on a tow truck after the owner had fixed a flat on the highway, but had the engine shut down on him just a few miles down the road because he had dropped a scissor jack into the engine bay, which caused quite the carnage. And this GMC Sierra rolled in with a handful of different problems after it had been parked on the sidewalk for a few weeks. This truck came in for a pre-purchase inspection, and thank God for that, because the current owner had apparently forgot to mention anything about the rusted undercarriage that was hiding underneath the fresh layer of paint. This car rolled in because it had a terrible knocking sound after the owner said that his disabled son had topped up the engine oil with some Kool-Aid while he wasn't looking. The owner of this car had just bought it at an auction, but hit a curb on his way home and had to come in to have it looked at. Customer states, "Every time I turn on the AC, my car starts smelling like an old person. Please advise." This customer's BMW was in because it had a clapping sound during idle, and this is what the mechanics found. The owner of this car had just installed some new tires at another shop, but nobody told him that he had bigger problems than that. And this car came in with a bit of a coolant leak. This pickup truck rolled in because the owner wanted an alignment after he said that he, quote, hit an empty spray can that was rolling down the highway. Must have been one hell of a spray can, bud. This customer had installed some new wheels and spacers, all by himself, but had to come in because now his steering wheel is wobbling hella bad. Customer states, car shuts itself off randomly and is really hard to start. The mechanics discovered that someone had recently replaced the fuel pump but had missed a couple of parts, which caused the issue. And this customer's truck got towed in because one of the front wheel bearings had failed after the owner and his friend had installed a used one to save some cash. This customer came in saying that their buddy helped them fix their squeaky brakes, but they're still squeaking. This customer's four-wheel drive truck rolled in because the customer had some brake problems and a clunking sound coming from the front after he had removed the front drive axle by himself because he wanted to turn it into a rear-wheel drive. And the owner of this car had installed their very own battery charger, but had to come in on a tow truck because the car wouldn't start. And this car rolled in because the customer had a pretty bad rattling noise at all speeds. When your car starts making its own triple shot, tall, half-cap, salted caramel cappuccino latte, you know you're in trouble. Yeah, looks great. This car came in with a pretty decent coolant leak after the customer had tried fixing it themselves. Customer states, buddy tuned his engine for him, but now it runs a bit strange and wants us to have a look. Customer states, whining sound when driving on the highway. Please check and advise. And this Opel finally came in for new brake rotors, after the customer had stated that he had a strange sensation in his foot while braking. And this customer came in saying that the AC only works on one side but not the other. Yep, looks great. This guy had his friend come over and do an oil change for him on his parking spot, but once he left he noticed a puddle of oil and later found out that his friend had forgot to install the oil filter. And this customer said that they have started getting a funky smell in the cab, and anytime they go on longer trips they get a runny nose and their eyes start itching. And this customer said, "I don't know what happened. I was just driving downhill for a while and didn't want to go over the speed limit." The owner of this car had just finished renovating the engine and had taken it out on a test drive, but immediately lost almost all the engine oil as he hadn't secured the oil plug properly. This customer had changed their air filter at another shop, but they had accidentally dropped a nut in the airbox that made its way into the engine. And this car came in with quite the fuel leak. One of these is not like the other. The owner of this car came in saying that he thinks his car has started burning oil because he's been getting a strong oil smell when driving ever since he topped up the oil at a local gas station. This customer came in saying that they have had a strange whining noise from their differential for the past 6 months and wanted it looked at. Customer rolled in with their truck saying that their cousin helped them install a Dixie horn, but that it sounds strange and wanted the mechanics to have a look. Customer states, wife hit a curb going a bit faster than normal. The owner of this Mercedes came in complaining about their 12-volt outlet not working and wanted it checked out. Customer came in complaining about a strange sound when braking and thought it might be a bad ball joint, but it turned out to be something else. And this car came in with a bit of an identity crisis. Customer states, really bad turbo sounds and the car accelerates like an old tractor. This car apparently makes its very own caramel drizzle. Customer rolled into the shop on a tow truck after they lost their car keys and had tried to get into the car using a pry bar instead, which caused all these marks on the A-pillar and an expensive repair bill for the customer. The owner of this vehicle came in saying, steering has felt really heavy lately and sometimes the cab smells like burnt dog poop. Please advise. Turns out that the customer had hit a wig on the road that had gotten stuck behind the wheel. Customer states, whenever I unlock the doors from inside, the door handles get all excited. And the owner of this car came in saying that he thinks his car has more to give, because flooring it doesn't really feel like flooring it. This customer came in saying that they have to pump their tires multiple times a week and wanted it looked at. This car owner said that he doesn't think his car is doing very well. This groundhog apparently wanted to make this customer's car its own. Thankfully, it ended up being fine and was released into a nearby forest right after this was filmed. Customer states, what do you mean I need new shocks? Are you trying to screw me over? This Hyundai Sonata was brought in because of an evap leak. The mechanics discovered that there was a hole in the fuel tank after the owner had tried to run a wire through the undercarriage to connect their new light bar to the 12-volt socket inside the driver's cab. Customer states, replaced water pump at a different shop, but ever since, car has started to overheat. Please advise. And this car apparently has its very own built-in light show. If you know what might be causing this, let us know in the comments below. The owner of this car rolled in because they had a loud whining noise from their differential after they drove through a mud puddle, and this is the amount of oil, water and dirt that came out of the differential once the mechanics opened it up. This car rolled in because the owner said that it's gotten harder to stop and that the brake pedal feels mushy. Customer states, battery voltage is low and customer thinks that it's not charging as it should. The mechanics found the generator looking like this. This car came in for an oil change, but the mechanics refused because the car was occupied. And the owner of this Subaru came in asking if it's normal for the engine to make this kind of sound. The owner of this truck rolled in for an oil change when the mechanic noticed something was off with the frame and discovered this one-of-a-kind frame repair job underneath. Customer states, car handles like a boat full of potatoes. Customer states, wobbling steering wheel when pulling out of the driveway. Customer states, car won't start and wipers randomly turn themselves on after customer had it in at a different shop for a new electric radiator fan. This customer came in saying they need a new center console storage cubby because the one they have won't close. Customer came in complaining about car bouncing a lot every time they drive over speed bumps. Customer states that he just installed new brake calipers last year and is 100% sure that they cannot be the reason why his brakes work so bad. And this car came in after the customer complained about feeling every bump in the road. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and until next time.